Hello, and welcome to another carbo-loaded episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Carbie girl, Catherine Weigel. I have lost over 100 pounds. I am a Tiny Habits certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach, and with me today is...
Carbie boy, Donald Weigel. Carbie boy sounds... Carbie guy. Yeah, Carbie boy sounds weird, doesn't it? I mean, I suppose Carbie girl also does too. But hi. I've lost about 100 pounds. And I've kept it off for about 5 years, and I am not carbo loaded for this episode so much, but we'll see what happens.
But it's early yet.
It's early, yes. I might load up on carbs while we're recording.
You might, and as we are recording this in America, USA, it is President's Day.
Oh yeah.
Now I grew up
in
a world where it wasn't President's Day. We had Washington and Lincoln. We separated it.
Yeah.
More holidays, but no more. It's all just one mega president now.
We didn't get both days off though, did we?
I did.
Did you?
We lived in different places.
Man, I don't know. I don't remember getting both days off. If I did, now I feel ripped off.
Yeah. But you know how like 4th of July, it's also like about USA and stuff. Sorry to be so US focused.
Yeah.
Us focused.
Yeah. The rest of the world is equally important.
Yes, it is. Way to go, everybody else.
Or more important.
But on 4th of July, there's like apple pie and burgers and stuff. But on President's Day, we all know that we celebrate with carbs.
Oh, yeah.
Carbs are the most perfect food.
That is the traditional presidential food group. Is the carb
is
group.
The carb. We load up on it, the grains and all of that. But today, I'm actually going to take you back, and Donald doesn't even know this, where we're going.
Oh.
We're going in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
And we have landed on
Mr. Peabody,
the green, lush grasses of the Garden of Eden. Donald,
oh my goodness!
Where
you're going way back.
The original carb, Donald. We are going back to the original carb.
I didn't know that the Wayback Machine went that far back. That's like the way back machine.
Well, we all know that Mattel got their idea for Ken and Barbie from Adam and Eve.
Oh yeah,
that is very much.
Yeah, that's a fact. I think don't check Wikipedia. But
no,
I'm sure that everyone knows that though.
No, but there is an original carb, and we all know what that is, isn't it, Donald? Don't we?
I could guess, but I don't want to step on your joke.
No, it's just the original carb.
Is an apple.
Is an apple.
Yeah.
Yes, and we have been told our whole lives that carbs are bad.
Yeah.
And apples are bad.
I mean, pretty much my whole life. Like Dr. Atkins used to have a radio show out of New York that I used to listen to, where he talked about how
on your transistor.
Yeah, on my on my boom box that I used to carry around on my shoulder. And I used to listen to that show a lot. And I did Atkins at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I did it solidly once and then thought about doing it many times, which doesn't really lead to many results. But what I can say is that we get mixed messages about one day I'm hearing an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Another time it's original sin. Like, what's that about?
Yeah, I know. And, it's like Ben Franklin battling with Dr. Atkins. They're fighting each other for Ben Franklin was an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought they were fighting over kites and keys
No. Atkins is like
electricity.
Atkins is like, I am a doctor and keep that apple away from yourself. And Ben Franklin's like, eat that apple every day.
I'm a printer, and I know that you eat apples because that's what I wrote in my daily newspaper, I guess, in Philadelphia.
That's right. That's what he said. And like, I don't, we got mixed messages about, used to be everything was low fat. And then it was like, oh, you got to eat some good fats and some bad fats. But then there's trans fats and there's
sugar and there's salt and you shouldn't have that. And you shouldn't have carbs. And you shouldn't
don't
have
eat
fat.
Processed food. And like, what's a processed food? Like if you cut something, is that a process?
Yeah. And then all you need to do is drink Tab and eat celery. We have decided in science that those are the only 2 foods genetically modified.
Tab is the perfect diet food, is what we've decided. And celery.
Tab, for those of you who don't know, was a diet soda.
I saw somewhere recently that it's actually a myth that you burn more calories eating celery than you do
Well, I wasted all that time not losing weight because I thought if I only liked celery, then I would.
Celery.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I saw somewhere that you don't actually burn more calories than is in the celery.
But then watching like the Tour de France growing up and other things, you had to carbo load.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my gosh, I'm going to the gym for 10 minutes. I've got to carbo load.
And your personal enemy, Michael Phelps.
Oh,
Who like,
gets to eat.
In his heyday, he talked about eating like 13,000 calories a day.
Must be
like,
nice.
I think it was legitimately like 13,000 a day he would eat.
Oh, that is my dream.
I know, me too.
But I don't want to do the work for it.
Yeah, I don't want to swim that much or hardly ever, really.
If only you like to swim.
Not much of a pool guy.
The only thing that kept you out of the Olympics was that you're not big on water. I imagine
I could have been an Olympic caliber swimmer if I actually liked swimming.
Yeah, the chlorine doesn't agree with his eyeballs. No. So otherwise, he would have been fantastic.
That's right.
So
yeah.
If only they did freshwater swimming.
Right. If I could have just swum in a lake, which I also don't do.
Yeah, but many of our listeners would like us to swim in a lake or jump in a lake.
Jump in a lake right now, yes.
Is more the thing.
And get to the point.
Exactly. So I have the point. And on this President's Day, Monday, we're recording on a Monday, everybody.
We're recording it on President's Day, but you're going to hear this sometime in March.
Yeah, so it's fine, whatever holiday it is. But whatever day you are listening to this on, we are still impacted by those old messages of what we should and shouldn't do and what to eat based on media messages. That's right, I'm taking the media to task.
Yeah.
The media complex.
But not us, not podcasters.
No, but we're
giving you the real deal.
But we end up, if we could just open up the engine that is our brain that decides what we're going to eat, it is a mishmash of like things our parents told us, things that, Girl Scout troop leaders told us, doctors, thinfluencers, all these different people telling us different things about what we can and we can't eat. And it's in such a jumble that depending on the time of day and what loophole we want to invoke, we don't know what to eat. And we think that if we prescribe to a particular program like Atkins that says definitively don't do this, that it's going to fix us. But what it really does is not take into account the foods we like to eat forever in our normal lives.
Yeah, for most of my life, I thought that the only way to lose weight was to completely skip anything that I enjoyed to eat, like really, and that I had to eat nothing but bland, unappealing foods, and I was just that made being on a diet, in air quotes, just miserable.
Yeah,
like I didn't have any interest in that. When I got my diabetes diagnosis, I just thought all fun in my life was over.
He really did.
I just thought I will never eat another food that I enjoy. I will just have to do nothing but exercise. And it turned out, cut to the spoiler alert, that is not the case.
No, but and before we move forward with what we're going to say, I want to now say that if, as we progress through this episode, if you have received a message or instructions from a physician or professional to stay away from a certain food or a certain category, please follow what your doctor says. We are going to be talking about things in sort of a general how to balance your life if you're a normal human. But if it is a medically guided restriction, please follow that from your medical professional.
Yeah, when I got my type 2 diabetes diagnosis, I avoided sugar for about a year, a little over a year. Like I didn't eat any sugar until I got my my A1C number. I won't go into A1C, but if you have diabetes, you know what it is. Until I got my A1C number under control, and then I worked sugar back into my life. But so if your doctor's telling you not to do it, don't do it
because your leg might fall off.
Yes, or you might go blind. Yes, which is what he told me might happen.
Yeah, I imagine you're just like a starfish, like you're
like it just drops off. Yeah.
Anyway, but before you drop off from this podcast episode, we will now move forward.
There is actually a superhero called Arms Fall Off Boy. Like, not kidding.
Wow, they really went deep into...
It's a bit of a joke, but yes.
That's funny. But part of being a grown-up, Donald, aside from reading comic books and listening to what your doctor tells you to do...
what grown-ups do. Read comic books and collect Funko Pops.
I was going to ask you what grown-ups do. So I could just ask you that. Donald, what do grown-ups do?
They they pay bills and taxes, and they go to work,
and they go like this. Ugh.
Yeah,
and then when they get
down,
up,
it's like
they groan.
Like I make those noises all the time, actually.
But here's where the fun police come in. Being an actual grown-up is about taking responsibility for your choices, understanding your body, and making informed decisions to make your food choices work for you.
Boring.
Fun police. But it's a lot easier when a plan just says, eat this, don't eat that. And there's actually a book says that is called Eat This, Not That.
Not that, yeah.
But I spent decades trying to follow plans and just thinking if I just eat what they tell me to eat, then I will be fixed forever. And it never worked. And I thought I was the problem. I was like, well, obviously I just can't comply. Obviously I'm not motivated enough. I don't have enough willpower. And that wasn't what I was missing. I was missing a healthy relationship with boundaries around food, around people, and actually having a growth mindset in which I invested in my identity. We'll talk about identity later.
Yeah. And I think, speaking of identity, these plans, these diets, a lot of them, like I did Atkins, like I said, a few times, and I had some success, in air quotes, of losing weight on it. And so, I got this idea in my head that I had to do Atkins in order to lose weight. And that plan gave me the idea that carbs were bad.
Yeah.
And that I had to cut out these entire categories of food. And so even to this day, like I have a hard time with bread and pasta making me feel guilty. Like I still feel like I'm eating some sort of forbidden food, and it's not healthy in my opinion. Look, if you're happy on keto, and it's, doing well for you and you can do it for the rest of your life, then great. But for me, it's like I knew I always at some point wanted to eat, carbs again, and that carbs are some of the foods that make me the happiest. And I know I should work on not having food bring me joy, but the truth is food is delicious, and cutting out all of the delicious foods out of my life, or most of them, was not ever going to be something that was sustainable that I could continue doing.
Well, and I think that brings us to our next point about really understanding your relationship with food. And like Donald said, if you are doing a keto plan and you feel really good and you feel focused, it's okay to not agree with us and do your own thing.
Oh, yeah.
This episode is more for people who are working on figuring out how to moderate food choices, because abstaining is an option. If we are the kind of people, and I know that there are those out there who make decisions about what foods to include or exclude from their lives and can just go like, okay, well, you know what? Yeah, this makes sense. I'm just not going to have sugar and carbs anymore. And that's fine. And they move on from it and it's not a big deal. Then that is fantastic. But if you are like me and you know that you're doing a diet for a short period of time in which you exact a lot of willpower to leave something out of your plan for a short period of time, and you know you want to go back to eating it.
Yeah.
That is a long way of saying you would like to moderate your food choices.
Yeah, and I would ask you to try and adjust your mindset to understand that food doesn't have a moral value.
Yeah.
Like we are told all the time that certain foods are good foods and certain foods are bad foods, but there is no moral component to a food. It's just something that you eat. It's not inherently evil. It's not inherently bad. It's not inherently good. It doesn't have angelic properties. It's just a food. And foods have different nutritional value and different amounts of calories, but that doesn't make them good or bad.
Well, and part of that too is that we can ask ourselves how foods make us feel, because that is part of it. It's not just, it's not the good or the bad. So we have the opportunity to ask ourselves, why is this food an issue for me? Not because somebody else says it is, or not because it says, a whole legion of people are saying that you should cut it out of your life, but why is it an issue for you? Is the volume of the food you're consuming damaging to you? Are you just eating too much of it? Does eating it create cravings and prompts to eat more of it, which is definitely an issue. I'm not saying sugar doesn't have, effects on me.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it the way it makes your body feel. Do you feel tired and logy afterward? Do you feel, do you have an upset stomach? Do you have heartburn? Those are real issues.
Yeah, if I eat, sorry to interrupt, if I eat sugary foods early in the day, like I get wrecked. Like I don't know what that is about me, but I get super tired and it sort of, throws me off for the rest of the day. So I've learned not to eat things in the morning, like a lot of traditional breakfast foods like cereal, oatmeal, pancakes, like anything that's high sugar in the morning. Like I know that's gonna throw me off the rest of the day.
Right. So we have a 4-step plan that we're going to talk about how to moderate. So again, the first question to how many first questions have I? In this part, the first part to ask is, do you want to keep this food or beverage in your life? We'll give you a moment to think about that. Okay, now, have you decided? I don't know.
That
was
really good hold music.
If me humming was not helpful to you. But if you are good abstaining from the food right now, it doesn't have to be forever. But if you're like, you know what, I just need a break, then that's totally fine. Abstain. But if you do want to work on ways to keep it in your life, that's called moderating.
Yeah, and I just want to throw in here that I don't forbid myself from eating anything. Like I work all foods that I really enjoy into my plan and into my life, but I do some foods more than others. Some foods are a priority. There are other foods that I don't care that much about. Like I know someone in this room who loves bagels. I just think bagels are fine. So I don't forbid myself from eating a bagel, but I almost never do because the calories just aren't worth it for me. And so it's not about working all foods into your life. It's about making certain foods a priority, the ones that are really important to you.
Exactly. So we have 4 Ps. Give peas a chance, everybody.
Yes,
peas
please.
are also a carb, which isn't a good thing.
I do actually find peas delicious, but I don't eat them very much. I wonder why that is.
I'm not a huge... I mean, I like the soups. I'll say it.
Yeah, but pea soup is really good.
We have 4 Ps that we have decided are part of this episode, and I will read them thusly. This is about, again, moderating, keeping foods in your life. So you can work on your portion. You can plan to have the food. You can pair the food in your life, or you can have policies around the foods.
Wow, 4 Ps.
I know.
Indeed.
I was trying to think of sometimes we were going through this, and I was like, wait, I know that. Okay, there's 3, but I think there's a 4th somewhere. Is it like? Pinching.
Yes, pinching is the fifth
only
P.
Pinch a little bit.
Exactly.
So first,
just add a pinch of spice to your life.
Exactly. Yeah. So first, we're going to talk about reducing your portion sizes to keep something in your life.
Yeah, and for example, I love potato chips and Doritos and things like that, and but I know that if I bring home a regular full-size bag or a family-size bag, that to me, that's the portion. Like, theoretically, I know some people might say, well, why don't you just portion that out into a reasonable size? But I know that I just, for whatever reason, I'm not really capable of doing that. And so I just buy the little individual single size, like less than an ounce bags. And that is how I'm able to keep them in, because I can have one of those or 2 of those, and it's not, 140 calories, 150 calories, and I can easily fit that into my plan, still really enjoy that food as part of my life.
Exactly. You can also sort of have it as a side instead of a main. I love pasta. That's another P.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like plums, though. I can't think of any other
Persimmons.
foods. No, don't like those. I don't know.
Yeah. Particle board. Oh, no, that's not a food.
No, but it's kind of like a Wassa cracker. Anyway, but you can have it as a side. So instead of having spaghetti as my main, I might have it as a small portion on the side, and instead pump up the volume.
Pump up the volume
with veggies or a protein. So it's still there, but a smaller portion size. And at first it feels, it's unfair. Everybody else gets to carbo load, but I can have it as a side. side. You can also add, like I said, have it as a side with veggies, fruit, or protein. And Donald does that whole single serving thing, and I do too, because the package is the portion. If it is a big bag, I will likely eat the big bag. So again, going with those single size portions are really important.
Yeah, and look, in some cases too, I will opt to substitute something. Like I love ice cream, but I will have a popsicle instead, and that will sometimes satisfy my craving for a frozen treat. And average popsicles only, like 100 calories, 80 calories even, and so I can do that too. So I know that's not exactly portion control, but it also works in the same sort of way.
I think we just came up with a fifth P.
What is that?
That is prioritize, like you
prioritize,
said. Oh,
yeah.
No, we should have thought of that beforehand. But Donald does prioritize certain foods over others and keeps those the highlight of his show, and then downgrades others.
Yeah, I probably should have brought that up during a different P. But
it's fine.
But here we are.
That's fine. That's what I get for limiting us with the P's.
Yeah.
So the next one is plan to have it. If it is something that you want to have, decide the frequency at which you will include it in your life. So whether it's, I enjoy alcohol, which is carbs. It's mostly carbs.
Oh, that's carbs.
Delicious carbs.
Yeah.
But I've reduced the frequency. So now I plan to have it only on the weekend instead of every day. So
and only one drink. Almost always only one. And that is a plan, but also part of a policy, another P. And then part of planning is like, I can't eat, even that single serve bag of Doritos, I don't eat it first thing in the morning.
Right.
I plan to have it like late in the day after dinner, because I have an issue with once I start eating it, then I just crave it and crave it and crave it. And it becomes harder for me to resist continuing to eat it. So I eat mostly protein and fruit during the day. And then after dinner is when I plan my treats, my little mini single serve candy bars, my little mini single serve chips. And I'm much more able to control. And you might find the opposite is true for you, that you want that treat early in the day. But for me, I've got to have it late.
Yeah, so know when it fits into your plan. Just because something is called a breakfast food doesn't mean for me that it is good for me to have it at breakfast. So I conserve cereal into single portions. I buy the little cups, and I have that as a dessert instead of breakfast. Again, with National Donut Day, if I have it in the morning, it's going to prompt negative behaviors in the afternoon.
Catherine has all the food-based holidays on her calendar. Yeah.
Oh boy, I do. So even now, with looking thin, I still think about it all the time.
Yeah.
But I save sweets for after dinner. And I know on the days that I eat them earlier in the day, I know it's going to prompt eating all afternoon that same way. The same thing with chips. So save things for weekends, save things for going out to dinner. Maybe enjoy pasta, but only have it when you go out to eat instead of having it at home. Only have the best quality. If you really like chocolate, go and get a single piece. That's what I do. I get one portion of it, because if I bring more home, well, now it's an odd number and we don't like odd numbers. You got to even that out. So, which I definitely do. So plan ahead. What can you have in your life in a way? And again, we don't have a giant spreadsheet with what we eat when. It's just sort of generally things that are really super delicious, I save for later in the afternoon.
Well, we've talked about the Super Bowl a lot recently, but we also plan our calorie-dense meals most of the time. I mean, and occasionally, one will come up that we're not expecting, or an opportunity to have one that will come up that we weren't expecting.
President's Day. Thrust upon us.
Exactly. So we're forced to eat a calorie-dense meal today. No, not actually.
I came up with a sixth B.
Yeah, President's Day.
Podcast. No, we podcast to avoid eating food.
Oh, yeah.
So make a podcast, everybody.
Yeah.
But President's Day. Okay, we have seven P's.
Yeah,
okay.
Like there's more P's than we can shake a stick at now. Why we're shaking sticks at P's, I don't know, but we're going to continue to do it. But yeah, planning those calorie dense meals ahead so that we have them, on our calendars in our plan, and that they're not a surprise.
Exactly. So the next P, though we've given you so many P's, you didn't even know that the dictionary included this many P's. The next one is pairing. pairing is caring. We did a whole episode on working things as special treats into your life on special occasions or infrequent events. Now, we can't pair everything with everything every day because that would be 365 opportunities to pair things. But like Donald said, I had an issue with bagels where I would just eat them all and get a dozen and eat them in the car before I got to work. So now I pair having a single bagel in public view, when I get my hair cut. So it is an occasional instance. It's a food I really love. I enjoy it. I savor it, but I don't bring it home with me because when I bring it to a second location, I'll probably eat more of them.
Yeah. So we've done some episodes specifically about pairing and talked about it a lot, but pick an event in your life that doesn't happen super often and then decide that's when you are going to pair, like an oil change for your car, which, you're doing once a year or once, every 3 months, depending on what kind of car you have. Anyway, I don't need to go down.
This is car talk. Car talk, click and clack.
The how many times should you get an oil change debate is on the next episode of the show. But or a haircut or a doctor's checkup or
even payday or when you pay your rent or your mortgage, something occasional where you can. Even if it's not a specific food, perhaps it is on payday, I will get some specific treat that I like. So
especially if it's something like, not fun to do, adding that treat, maybe make you look more forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's called a Pearl habit. That's another P. Oh, man, we're getting deep. I should have
ever stopped.
No,
the audience is saying
they
this.
will not. So the final one, I think, this might be the final P. We're not sure yet.
Yeah.
I can't promise.
We're going to come up with more P's in between. But for now, the final P is...
policy. Have a policy about the circumstances under which you enjoy the food. Sort of like Donald said earlier, I only get a small when I order it, or a tall, whatever Starbucks word of the day is.
I only eat my treats after dinner. When I go to fast food, I only get the kids' meal, or I only get one item and I don't get the side, or I just get the side if that's important. But, having a policy that not every eating opportunity needs to be a party.
Right.
Like it doesn't have to be like, oh man, well, it's not even worth it to go for pizza if I don't also get the wings and the beer and the
cheesy bread stuffed, whatever.
Yeah. Like you can make a policy that like, okay, I'm going to go, but I'm only having this one thing. And you know what? You will be so proud of your choices afterwards if you do that and you stick to it. At least I know I am. I feel so much better about my situation when I actually like make my policies and I stick to them.
Right. So I have a policy of only having a cocktail on the weekend. I only have it after 5 p.m. I only have cereal for dessert, not for breakfast. And I only buy a single portion of a food that I have trouble moderating. Sure, it's not convenient to buy, one chocolate at See's Candy, but it does allow me to have portion control, which is something that is really helpful for me.
Yeah. And, that's a perfect example of what I was talking about before. Like, just because you don't, have an opportunity to go to See's Candy all the time doesn't mean you have to buy 17 pounds of chocolate when you go. You can just buy one and eat it and enjoy it. And it almost becomes a more special treat when you do it that way.
Well, and guess what? There's nothing convenient about having to burn off 2,000 calories that you hadn't expected to eat.
Boy, you got that right.
I sure do.
Yeah.
Click and clack. I felt like a click and clack. Auto guys. So I'm going to throw in a new letter into the conversation.
What?
I know. I'm throwing everybody off. I'm going to go up the ladder of the elevator. No. Alphabet, not the elevator. I'm going to switch over to identity.
The alphabator?
The alphabator. I don't know, dude. There are too many letters these days. So I don't even think Pluto's a letter now. I don't even know. Sorry.
I think they took away Pluto's letter status. It's now a dwarf letter.
So the final letter we're going to talk about is identity. All of this has to do with building your identity as a person who can make choices for themselves. We get so many messages about how to work certain things into our lives, what we should abstain from, what we shouldn't. But really, in the end, you decide what works for you. You decide how much agency you're going to take. It takes planning to do all of this. It takes experimentation to do this. This isn't about one day sitting down with every food in the dictionary and deciding what you're going to eat. It is about experimenting. You know what? I'm going to try to pair this food. How does that work? I'm going to try portion control, see how it goes. I'm going to plan. I'm going to have a policy around it and see how that works for you. And then surprise extra P. I think this is
another P.
Yeah, this is really the final one.
Oh my goodness, audience! You came here and you paid for 4 P's, and you're leaving with so many more.
So many. So the last one is pivot. If something isn't working for you, change. I think we did an episode called Pivot recently.
We talked about pivoting a lot in an episode, but I don't remember what the name of it was, but I'll look it up and put it on the show notes.
We can't remember. But you have an opportunity. Try something out. If it doesn't work, pivot. Try an alternative. See what works. And if that doesn't work, pivot. And if it does work, keep doing it. This can change based on the season of your life. Just because something works right now doesn't mean it's going to work in the next season of your life, either an emotional season or an actual season. Be sure that you take the time to advocate for yourself, adjust, and pivot when needed. And this takes work. This takes work. And it's not about just following what someone else says that you should or shouldn't do. Real change comes from making changes in the agency that you take in your own life. And if we can do it, we know that you can do it too.
Oh my goodness, you sure can, because nobody was more lost than we were 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, nobody.
So thank you so much for listening. We are grateful to all of you. It really does mean a lot to us that you took time to listen to this show, to download it, to listen, and we are grateful. All of our episodes are available wherever you found this one. We're on all of the major podcast platforms. And you can also find us anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on our website at weonlylookthin.com. All the episodes are posted there. You can listen right on your work computer and make it look like you're working.
Exactly. And if you are on our website, click on that link for Join Our Support Group to find out more about Wolt Place. We Only Look Thin Place is a Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan, but we are a place for accountability, check-ins, challenges, and all the P's that you all the P's and more.
We have check-in, challenges, and lots of P's.
Behind our paywall, there are more P's that you don't even know about.
That's right.
But we have 2 subscription plans, a monthly option with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wolt Place is right for you.
Yes, and the most important P, access to Katherine Weigel. I don't know, that's not a P at all. But,
person,
access to a person, yes. And so check out Wolt Place. You can also follow us and interact with us on social media. We are at Facebook, Instagram. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at We Only Look Thin. And also we have an email address. Ooh. You can email us at weonlylookthin@gmail.com. We would appreciate episode suggestions, and we would like questions. We've taken listener emails and turned them into several episodes of this show, many, probably even more than several. And you can also give us some compliments. We enjoy those. weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and if you have a couple of extra minutes and can head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review, we so appreciate each and every one. We just got one today. We're so grateful for it. I wish we could reply to each of them, but Apple won't let us.
They don't let us reply or comment or anything on them.
Yeah. But if you could head over there, not only does it boost our mood, but it also boosts our ratings when people are looking for inspirational podcasts like ours.
Absolutely. And another way you could help us out that would be great would be if you would just tell somebody about the show. If you know somebody who might enjoy the show, if it comes up in conversation, or if you're in an online group, a Reddit group, a Discord group, a Facebook group, something, you can give us a shout out. That would be super helpful to us, and it is one of the best ways in which the show grows.
Yep. So if you are going back and researching to see whether it was Ken and Barbie or Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, just remember that Donald and I are an inspiration. See, I said Garden of Eden.
I got it.
Okay.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.